Passwords, our first line of defense, yet often the weakest link. Ever wonder how hackers crack them wide open? Today, we're peeling back the curtain on the shadowy techniques used to break into accounts, brute force, dictionary attacks, social engineering, and more. But this isn't about chaos, it's about control. We're not just revealing how it's done, we're showing you how to fight back. Want to know how secure your passwords really are? By the end of this video, you'll be armed with the knowledge to outsmart even the smartest cybercriminals. Let's dive into the world of password cracking, and how to stay unbreakable. Before we dive into today's topic, let's take a moment to address something critically important: the dangers and consequences of attempting to hack someone's password. Let me be crystal clear, unauthorized access to another person's account or data is not only unethical but also highly illegal in most countries. Here's what you need to know. Legal consequences of password hacking. 1. United States, under the Computer Fraud and Abuse Act, CFAA, hacking into accounts without authorization can result in hefty fines and prison sentences of up to 10 years for first-time offenders. 2. European Union, the EU's General Data Protection Regulation, GDPR, includes severe penalties for breaching data security, with fines reaching €20 million or more. 3. United Kingdom, the Computer Misuse Act of 1990 criminalizes unauthorized access, carrying penalties of up to 10 years in prison. 4. India, the Information Technology Act imposes penalties of up to 3 years in prison and significant fines for unauthorized hacking activities. 5. Global implications. Many countries have extradition treaties for cybercrimes, meaning you could face prosecution in a foreign country for hacking activities. Also, there are some specific websites that have zero tolerance. Platforms like Facebook, Instagram, Google, and LinkedIn deploy advanced cybersecurity measures and actively monitor for suspicious activities. Attempting to hack these platforms can result in immediate account suspension or ban, permanent blacklisting from their services, reporting to law enforcement authorities for further legal action. This video is purely educational, aimed at helping you understand how cyber attacks happen so you can better protect yourself and others. Attempting to use these techniques maliciously is not only a betrayal of trust but could also ruin your future with criminal charges. Always use this knowledge ethically, and remember, cybersecurity is about building defenses, not breaking them down. With that important disclaimer out of the way, let's move forward into the world of password security, responsibly and ethically. Passwords are under constant attack from hackers using a variety of methods. But not all attacks are the same, some are brute force, while others rely on psychology or exploiting technical vulnerabilities. In this video, we're diving into the most common password attack techniques and how they work. From brute force attacks to phishing and malware, each method has its own strategy and weaknesses. Let's break them down one by one so you can understand how attackers think and, more importantly, how to defend against them. Let's start with the most straightforward, yet surprisingly persistent method: brute force attacks. Imagine trying to unlock a safe by testing every possible combination until you stumble on the right one. That's essentially how a brute force attack works in the digital world. In a brute force attack, hackers use automated tools to systematically try every possible combination of letters, numbers, and symbols until they guess the correct password. This method is simple but incredibly resource-intensive. It relies on raw computational power and time. Example. For instance, if your password is a simple 4-digit PIN, there are only 10,000 possible combinations, 0 to 9999. A basic brute force tool could crack that in seconds. But if your password is complex, say 12 characters with a mix of letters, numbers, and symbols, it could take centuries to crack, even with advanced hardware. To demonstrate just how easy it can be to crack weak passwords, I've set up a simple example. Here, I've created a secure zip file protected with the password 1234. Let's see how long it takes to crack. On the screen, you can see me attempting to unzip the file, but of course, I don't know the password. To break it, I'll use a tool called John the Ripper, which specializes in password cracking. Since John works with hashed versions of passwords, the first step is to convert this zip file into a hash format. Once that's done, I start the brute force process, and as you can see, it takes less than a second to crack the password. Just like that, the file is unlocked. Now, let's try a more complex password and see how much longer it takes to crack. Don't worry, I'll also break down exactly how John the Ripper works and introduce you to other tools hackers use. Now, I've created another secure zip file, this time with a stronger password. It's not unbreakable, but it's strong enough to demonstrate the time difference compared to the earlier example. As you can see, cracking this password is taking much longer than the previous one. However, with enough time and computational effort, it will eventually be cracked. Once the process is complete, let's use the recovered password to unzip the file and access its contents. And there it is, the content of the file was just a simple message, "Hi from CyberCortex." Boring, right? But here's the catch, in real-world scenarios, this happens too. After all the effort, you might end up finding nothing useful. It's a reminder that persistence doesn't always guarantee value, but learning to deal with such outcomes is part of the game. Now, let's dive into how John the Ripper actually cracks passwords. Remember earlier when I mentioned converting the zip file into a hash file? Let me explain why that step is so crucial. When passwords are stored, they're never saved in plain text. Instead, they're transformed using a process called hashing, which converts them into an irreversible format. Why is this done? Imagine a hacker gains access to a database. Instead of seeing readable passwords, they're faced with a collection of seemingly random, unreadable strings of numbers, letters, and symbols. This layer of protection makes it significantly harder for them to retrieve the original passwords, and in some cases, they may never succeed. But wait, if hashes are irreversible, how do attackers crack them? This is where tools like John the Ripper, Hashcat, and others come into play. These tools don't try to reverse the hash. Instead, they use methods like brute force and dictionary attacks to generate possible passwords, hash them, and compare those hashes to the one in the database. When there's a match, they've effectively cracked the password. Look at the screen again and try to digest what's happening. This is the core mechanism behind tools like John the Ripper and Hashcat. By systematically hashing and comparing passwords, they uncover the original password. Once you grasp this, you'll understand the power and limitations of these tools. That wraps up brute force attacks. Of course, there are countless hashing algorithms we didn't dive into, each with unique strengths and weaknesses. Covering them all would take an entire video, but the goal here was to explain the mechanism and show how the cracking process works in practice. Now, let's shift gears to another method of cracking passwords, the man-in-the-middle (MITM) attack. Imagine you're logging into your favorite website. You think the connection between your device and the website is secure, but in a man-in-the-middle attack, someone intercepts that communication as illustrated on the screen. Think of it as someone secretly listening to a private conversation, capturing every word without you even realizing it. Here's how it works. Interception. The attacker places themselves between your device and the server you're communicating with. This can happen on unsecured public Wi-Fi, compromised routers, or even fake hotspots set up by attackers. Eavesdropping. As you type in your username and password, they're intercepted by the attacker before reaching the server. If the data isn't encrypted or if the encryption is weak, the attacker can easily capture your login credentials. Alteration, optional. In some cases, the attacker doesn't just capture data, they can modify it. For example, they could redirect you to a fake login page to steal even more sensitive information. Now imagine the scale. Someone could intercept thousands of logins at a busy coffee shop or airport in minutes. What makes MITM attacks so dangerous is how invisible they are to the victim. Unless you're watching for signs of a compromised connection, like warnings about insecure sites or strange delays, you'd never know someone was snooping on your data. Thankfully, there are defenses, like HTTPS encryption, VPNs, and using secure networks, but understanding the risks is the first step. And that's it for today's video. We've covered two powerful methods attackers use to crack passwords, brute force and the man-in-the-middle attack. But these are just the tip of the iceberg. There are many other techniques hackers use, like phishing, dictionary attacks, and even social engineering, each with its own strategy and purpose. If you'd like me to dive deeper into any of these methods, or if you want to see a real-life demonstration of a man-in-the-middle attack, let me know in the comments below. I'm always open to exploring the topics you're most curious about. Before you go, don't forget to like this video if you found it helpful, and hit that subscribe button for more in-depth cybersecurity content. By subscribing, you'll stay updated on future videos that not only explain hacking techniques but also show you how to stay safe online. And as always, stay curious, stay informed, and I'll see you in the next one.